Picture this. You wake up in the morning for your daily, your ordinary ritual. You freshen up, and you look at your reflection in the mirror. Have you ever, looking in the mirror, asked yourself, wondered who you are? This difficult and recurring question can now be answered by an ancient, yet evolutionary method, which our ancestor Aristotle named physiognomy. Would you ever think that just through the face we could better understand not only our own personality, but also that of the people around us? The personality of our friends, of our colleagues, the personality of our boss, of the politicians we vote for, the personality of the partner we choose? Generally speaking, the most direct way of communicating is visual. Our brain can process images 60,000 times faster than words. We are all receivers and transmitters of the visual cues our body and our face display. We, as humans, are rigged in such a way to be able to make split-second decisions based on posture, gestures, micro-expressions, and facial features. Women in general have better intuition and ability to read non-verbal cues. And this has been proven evolutionary as they needed to decode babies' expressions and their emotions. Men, on the other hand, have a simpler communication pathway. So, how could we instantly understand and connect with the person we're talking to, face to face? Well, through the face, of course. But what is the human face? Is it just a mask behind which we're hiding our true personality? Is it the portal through which we communicate with the other world? Our face displays a whole wealth of information. It has helped us evolve by communicating our emotions and our thoughts in order long before a language was developed. What makes us unique is the mixture of our features. Scientists at Stanford University were able to identify 15 genes in our DNA responsible for facial characteristics. Our face can help us detect who is healthy and who is sick, and also who is flirt-worthy, whom and when to trust someone or not. Our face is a dynamic structure which changes both over a lifetime as it has changed over evolutionary time. It always reflects our current emotional state. When we think about something that stresses us, or when we think about something that excites us, all these emotions are expressed within our face. Talking about expressions now. Paul Ekman, world authority in microexpressions of University of California, discovered that our face, just before talking, makes these expressions instantaneously. These contractions, the microexpressions, happen in a subconscious way, and our conscious mind cannot easily distinguish them. Yet our subconscious can easily tell them apart. These contractions help us decode and sense whether someone is true to his inner emotions, whether he is congruent to his emotions while he says something verbally. Recently, Zuckerberg testified to the Congress, and although his face was expressionless, at certain points his true emotions did surface. Software was used to analyze these expressions and was able to identify not only when, but actually what he was expressing at those specific moments. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found it hard to recognize even your own face in some photographs? This might be because our brain encodes images of faces in an exaggerated way. It keeps the highlights, like caricatures. And studies show that we're up to 23% faster at reading caricatures than actual tracings that reproduce the image exactly. Artists of all ages have used various methods to help them depict the personality in more depth and more substance than just superficially. And one of those methods was physiognomy. In comic book character creation, in 3D modeling, this is common practice. In fact, my own involvement with this methodology happened for exactly the same reason. But also in other visual media, like in the movies, How successfully a role is portrayed and conveyed depends on the right casting of the appropriate face that expresses all these features. So, physiognomy and morphopsychology, these two methods aid the interpretation of our personality traits and predispositions through the study and evaluation of the facial structure and individual features. We can decode things like inherited or developed traits, also dormant or expressed elements. Its exact origins are lost somewhere in history. Yet we know from the Greek part that Hippocrates, the father of medicine, was the first to introduce the 4 human temperaments, the sanguine, phlegmatic, choleric, and melancholic, where he associated physical appearance, health, and internal psychological characteristics. Most current psychometric tools, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, Extended Disc, or Carl Jung's temperaments, have their root somewhere in Hippocrates' temperaments. Aristotle gave us the first written work on physiognomy, physiognomonica, where he connected human faces with animal faces, and it is the base upon which Western physiognomy was built on. Today, one may say that we live in the era of the image. We have screens, displays, large, small, everywhere, and face recognition, artificial intelligence is already faster and even more accurate than humans at recognizing facial cues. Physiognomy is making a strong comeback after various ups and downs through history with hyperboles. And indications from the facial features are found from many scientific fields, indicate the connection between our external facial features or morphological features with internal emotional and psychological elements within us. Now, look at this image. What can we see in a face? All women in here, whether you realize it or not, this moment, your pupils may have dilated up to 43%. Babies' faces evoke our emotional response to want to protect them because we see in them signs of innocence, of sensitivity, of sincerity, and vulnerability. But what are these proportions we associate to these characteristics? They are the large, rounded forehead, eyes with distance from the eyebrows, smallest nose, fleshy rosebud lips, and a smallest chin. Open features that allow a lot of assimilation of information. That's why children learn so fast, but hard to block external environmental influences. As we grow older, our features are are retracted within the orifices, and we lose this ability to be more receptive like children are. But we also have adults that share these baby-faced features. And these are linked into people's minds with the same positive qualities of innocence of children. So much so that in many cases, criminals that had baby-faced features were acquitted from their crimes. So we have one face, and a very symmetrical here, right? But in reality, we are all two-faced in the sense that our right side and the left side of our face are never an exact same match. They're asymmetrical. So let's see how a symmetrical version of ourselves would be if we create what we call these chimerical facial composites, where we take one part, we duplicate it, we flip it over, and create an image synthesized by one part of the face. Let us have a look at the right composite. Look at the impression. How serious, austere, even sinister, one may say. The right part of the face is controlled by our left hemisphere and indicates our conscious mentality, what we want others to believe from us. Let's see the left composite. How's this impression? More calm, more even, more expressive. The left part indicates our subconscious part, the core emotions of our personality, as it is controlled by the right hemisphere of the brain. So how can this asymmetry in our face help us in our everyday life? When we see a furious look from one side, most certainly it's put on. Equally, a lopsided smile is likely to be insincere. And if any one of you over here suspect your partner for anything, just ask a tricky question and look at which part of the face. at the left part. Okay, so how can we decode personality traits imprinted within the face? Are you curious to find out? Some hints. Just a note, we're talking about proportions here, not actual distances, and we shouldn't read one face to the exclusion of others. So when we look at the face head-on, it reveals our capacity, what lies within. The development in width shows the development in quantity, practicality, sustainability, whereas the development in height shows development in theory, in perception, and we see generally people that have more elongated and narrow faces have more, let's say, theoretical and idealistic pursuits than pragmatic and materialistic ones. Whereas people who are more involved in action, politicians or business people, people of actions, have in general wider faces. This is like a grosso oversimplification, but just to get the idea. Our profile indicates how we express the capacity we have. Depending on how much it protrudes or how much vertical it is, it shows whether our expression is more impulsive, controlled, or introverted. Now, the outer frame of the face, it is static. It's bone structure that seldomly changes over a lifetime. And it indicates our core constitution and health tendencies, our long-term, deeper attitudes and actions. Whereas the inner part of the frame, the face, this triangle composed by the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, is where our receptors are. It is the dynamic features. It shows our immediate responses and our social behavior. So let's put this together. Also, the retraction or expansion of these features, so whether we have an introverted or extroverted expression of these features. So we have over here a sensitive type. This sensor inside is really sensitive. On the left, as you can see, rather as you see it on the right, we have an elliptical frame, a more, let's say, weaker frame, influenced deeply. And on the left, we have a large frame, influenced specifically. So if we apply the inner frame to the outer frame, we have an impression here. And we could see that the same sensitivity in both types, yet the assimilation is very different. In one type, it's influenced in depth and for long term, whereas in the other one is influenced specifically and short term. Very quickly, we can measure the face and divide it into 3 equal zones. The upper zone is the zone of mentality, of our intellectual ability. The middle zone, where the receptors shows our, as we said, the social adaptability and our emotions. And the lower zone is the energy zone. You could think of it as the engine of the face that allows us or inhibits us, depending on the development, to materialize our thoughts, our goals, or our passions. So we'll use now some exaggerated morphed face here, just for display purposes, to see the difference in development. We have a face that is predominantly mental, one who is predominantly physical, and one who is emotional. And these determine grossly the general face shapes. So depending on the development of these 3 primary forces, our intelligence, our sensitivity, and our energy levels, these elements determine our perception, our emotions, and our actions. Now, very shortly, let's focus on 2 dynamic features that are more interested. The eyes that lie between our mental abilities and our emotional abilities correspond to our conscious mentality. It is one feature that is very difficult to control by will. And the eye movement, depending on where it moves, can show our thought process, whether we're visual, auditory, kinesthetic, whether we are remembering something or we're creating something in our thoughts. So the location and the size and the tonality shows different things. First of all, let's start from the eyebrows. Raising the eyebrow, which many of you could do here, but I can't raise just my eyebrow specifically, aided human evolution. Highly mobile eyebrows gave humans the ability for non-verbal communication, so necessary to create large networks. So as we look at the eyes from the front, let's say a person who has large eyes is responsible, is commanding, has the ability to control and to influence other people, and is also bold and adventurous. On the other hand, smallest eyes are more introverted, more cautious, more shrewdish, yet loyal. And the location, when we see the location between the eyes, when it's normal, we have a balanced perception. When it is over here, with smaller distance between the two eyes, we have a person who is detail-oriented, is more meticulous, and needs exact steps and procedures in order to understand, but also is hypersensitive, could miss the whole picture because he's looking at the details. On the other hand, we have eyes wide apart. This is a generality person. You shouldn't bog him down with all the minute details, but sometimes this person will miss the details that make the difference. Tonality-wise, downward sloping eyes. What is the impression? More mellow, low energy, but with more empathy. And upward sloping eyes? Look at this impression here. How dynamic, aggression. These eyes belong to a predator, even if you see it in other animals as well. It shows nervous intensity and animal magnetism, ability and need for independence. So what is the other dynamic feature? Most men in here are probably fixated at the lips and the mouth right now. Within the first 10 seconds when men look at women, half of the time is spent looking at the mouth. So, which is the most famous expression the mouth makes? Is a smile. Can you spot a fake or a genuine smile? When the smile is genuine, the whole face is involved. The eyes, the muscles, and the duration are in context. If we cannot smile genuinely, people cannot trust us. It is the most immediate way to get into a receptive state as we affect our central nervous system and create endorphins released in the brain. It also signifies submission and lack of threat. The mouth is the hardest feature, just with the eyes, to control consciously. It reveals the character of the action, just as the eyes reveal the character of thought. Even when silent, it is eloquent of truth. The proportions between the upper and the lower lip signify our ability to give emotionally and our need to receive emotionally. As the lips are never the same, they change as we age and how we feel. When we're stressed, the upper lip especially thins down, becomes compressed. But when we're relaxed or even when we're aroused, all these become much fuller. So people who have a predominance of the upper lip are more, let's say, takers, and the lower lip is more the opposite. The upper lip signifies our ability to give emotionally, whereas the lower lip signifies our need to receive emotionally. So the relation between these two could tell us whether a person is more a giver or a taker emotionally. So now what? We've read thoroughly all the face, we analyzed all the features. What do we do? First of all, you have no excuse anymore in boring meetings. You just could stay there, analyze people's expressions and the facial features, and have fun. But how would you feel if you connect with a person across you? In your relations, in your personal or your professional relations, this insight of visual pattern recognition could help us know how to anticipate and what to expect for each personality. But let's go shortly back to our Greek ancient friends now. For when Socrates was teaching philosophy to his disciples, and famous physiognomist of the time, Zopyrus, arrived. After he studied his face, he declared that Socrates' face was quite the opposite to a true philosopher. He was impulsive, giving in to sensual pleasures, and with violent bursts of anger. The disciples promptly derided the physiognomist as a pretender. However, Socrates put them to silence and admitted his natural propensity to all those vices, which, as the story goes, he was able to conquer only by studying philosophy and, of course, by self-discipline. So the point here is not to use all this knowledge in a fatalistic way, in a fixed mindset. Instead, cultivate a sharper awareness of our unique facial strengths and what messages they convey. Because the more we understand our face, the more we understand ourselves, who we are. So I invite you, in your daily, ordinary, face-to-face interactions, to just pause, be present, look into the eye, assimilate the visual information of the person across you, and notice how this impacts your communication with others and with yourself, both rationally, but foremost emotionally. which is worth becoming our core strength. Thank you. Thank you.